So I think there's enough confusion on what to do with the instructions that I sent out last week. So I thought I'd better make some more clarifications and do this little video that might help you to accomplish this task. And I'm trying to make it as simple as I can. I know there's some work involved in it here and that the deadline is really short. But I'm going to try to put this together a little bit for you here. Okay, so what I did is, in looking at this, I decided I should actually number these, and there'll be a reason for doing that in a minute. The instructions you received had just a bullet statements here, so I've broken the same thing down into 4 groups of information that needs to be provided, and I'll go through how to do that, how to go through each one of those. The first one is a PDF of the spreadsheet showing the compiled, in the case of multiple sections, a list of the students assessed with their individual performance. Now, and then we'll get into the one that shows this spreadsheet also must reflect right here the way you calculated the points, the low, medium, and high, and then it needs to associate with this table 4A10, which is the one that we're turning in. So let me show you what I'm talking about there. This is the table that I'm referring to, is right here. This table is, what I did is these are the ones I've used. So what I was going to do is send out this spreadsheet using the exact item that you had. The one that I, like some of them are final exams, like this one's a 1040. The final exam was what was used. I don't know if you remember back in May, I asked you to tell me which assessment was, because we only needed to do at least one assessment per class of the student outcomes. And so I asked you which one was most representative. Many of you said final exam, others were projects, others were certain drawings, etc. So that's what I'm referring to here. And so what I did is, this is the exact value that I used, and this shows the low, medium, and high. We get the low, medium, and high, which we discussed in our faculty meeting in August. And then here's the actual values that were calculated. Now where those came from is another spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet looks like this, and this is the one that's the CSV file that was pulled in from Canvas. So you can just do a download from Canvas, the CSV file of the grades. And what I did is I broke this down, so I've got the student names over here, total points possible in this top column right here, or top row, or next to the top row anyway. And then over here I've got final exam. So in my case, in this particular class, the final exam was most representative for evaluating student outcomes. And that's what that's what I've gone through with you guys before. So here's the scores. There's the total points possible, and here's all the scores of the students. And here's these numbers: 3.34 or 3.4, and this 0.86 number here. So that number right there in this column, along with the student names over here, transferred over to this spreadsheet here. And what I did is I just copied it down to the bottom of this same place. You can see 1040 results. And so some of this should seem a little bit familiar to you. So there's the results right there, and I just did the calculation here. Now, what I had also done, because there's only 2 students here that are surveying and mapping majors, I pulled those out and had a different calculation here. I guess what I wanted to do at this point is show ABET both of those so they can see what the class was and then see which ones are surveying and mapping students specifically. Now, this only applies to certain courses. Many of the courses are only student surveying and, many of the courses have only surveying and mapping students in them. However, that's not true with all of them. AutoCAD is one of those, 1400 is another one. So 1040, 1400, 2010 may be that way, Survey 2010, and my Survey 455G has other people in it as well. And so look at your class, but most of those are going to have other students in them. So that's where, if there's surveying and mapping students, then that's what we evaluate with. So that's where these numbers come from. And then you notice this 3.4 and 2.6 matches the 3.4 here under the medium, and the 2.6s, which are the low. Those are the only student outcomes that I'm evaluating from this final exam, is student outcome 1C and 3C and 4. So that's all that's happening here. So just keep that simple. Then what I do is just make a PDF out of this. So I just went over here, highlighted this whole thing, and go to page setup or page layout, and set area, and then I just go over here and do a print of a PDF of that area right there. So that's the first one. First item is this spreadsheet showing, I'll go back to this right here, showing a PDF of the spreadsheet showing the compiled list of students assessed with their individual performance, which is the points. And then this spreadsheet also must reflect the way you calculated the points on the 3, 4, and 5 scale, which is what we did, what I showed there. Please ensure that your spreadsheet corresponds perfectly with the values shown in table 4A10, which I did and which I sent to you previously, was that attached table. Now, I will, with this email and this video, I will attach that table again. And over on the far right side of that table, it shows you what you told me you used as the assessment tool. So, and again, back in this spreadsheet here, this case here, it's the final exam is the one that I did, right here, final exam. So yours, and I just copied those, each one. So what I will do also is send to you the spreadsheet that I used for your class. And that way you'll have the current stuff that matches that table 410A. Okay, so that's step one. Now, step two is a PDF of the entire final exam, project instructions. If it's, what I'm saying now is we're looking at the student assessment tool here. In many cases it's final exam, it's others it's project instructions. So whatever applies, in some cases it's an assignment, whatever applies to those. So you need to show the instructions and applicable information that the student sees in order to take the exam. And this also should include the grade rubric, the key or whatever it is that you're using for the final exam. Now let me show you what I did here on this. I've got over here, I've got a PDF that I put together in total. In this case, is for the final exam here. This is the actual instructions, the fundamentals of technical engineering drawing final exam. Here's the instructions, and I reference several files here in the instructions. So make sure those are in there. So right below my instructions, here's my preview that I referenced. Here is the review of the final exam that I referenced here. And then I have the students download this file here, so I'm showing them a copy of that file, make a PDF out of it, and make it all one PDF as your final exam that you're showing them. Here's another item that I give them, and then here's another item that I give. This is actually the result of one of the items. So in other words, every exam is going to be, or every project is going to be a little different. What I'm trying to tell you is, in here I have them download this file here. So that's that one right there, final BTB. I also have them download this head drawing. That's this one right here. And I just, some big red letters here I edited the PDF so that it shows that, so that they can see, so that ABET can follow what they've done, what the student receives, and then how they're graded. Now here's the atom drawing. That's what they're supposed to be looking at. That looks like this one right here. And then at the end of the instructions, it tells them to use this final model and create a drawing that's based on this final model. And so that's what this is. This is the final model. So they're supposed to create a drawing that looks like this. And at the end of that, what I did is I showed the key. So this is how I'm grading the assignment. This is the final key. This is what is supposed to be the perfect answer for everything on the exam. And then here is the grade rubric, how I broke down the grading of the exam. Now, your exam is going to be different, obviously. The different elements that go into that exam will be different, or the different elements that go into the project will be different. So again, it's either project, instructions, assignments, final exam, whatever it is that you have designated as the assessment tool that we used back in May. That's what you want to put in here. And I would put that all in one PDF so ABET can just pull up that PDF of what that assessment tool is, and they can go through and see exactly what you did, what you set up for the students. Now the next thing that they have, here's the instruction here. So now we've completed item 2. Okay, now I want to go on to item number 3, a PDF of the syllabus, of course. Now this is not the syllabus that I got from you before, and then I altered that and made it fit the ABET standard of what they want to look at for syllabus. This is the one that you use typically, and it's the one that was used during the 2020-21 academic year. So just pull that in. So that makes sense. Now student work then, this is going to be how the students performed, in my case, in this particular example, on the final exam. So I need to be able to show the drawings. So let me show you what I did with them on that. This is what their exam looks like. And I just took those students that were surveying and mapping students, and here's what they did. So here's what I did. I just made a PDF of the drawing that I graded with my markups on it and showed what they did. And I've got the grade breakdown of this particular one as well. So this is Tristan Tuttle. He did this. This is what the drawing was that he gave me. This is what I was grading. And here's the grade rubric, or the point breakdown that I did for him. So that 93, you'll notice over here, it matches up with the 93 that he received in the class right here. And then of course Hunter's a 95. And then let's see, let's go back over here and show you how he did there. So there's Hunter's, his actual drawing, and then his breakdown, and he received a 95. So what I've done here then is shown the ABET what the assessment tool is, and detail it out and list it in a way so that they can follow what the student receives and what that assessment tool is about, and then showed how the students performed against that and how I graded that performance. So they want to see all the way. Now, how did you get a 95 is what they're going to ask. How did you get, in this case, how did you get a 93? Well, I'm showing them how I did that and showing the drawing and what I looked at to see what they did. And in my opinion, this seems sufficient. Now, I don't think I'm going to get any kind of complaint from the ABET about this. This is what the Saeed has talked about as well. Is they just want to be able to see and show evidence of how you graded the assignment or the assessment tool. So then that makes up the last of the instructions here, is these 4 steps. So now one last element, and that is, please put these all and number them so they can see what's going on here. So I've got number 1 is the results that I just showed you at first. Number 2, the final exam and all the information with that. The syllabus is number 3, and then number 4, the actual examples of, in this case, the final exam. And then what I want you to do is in tools, in Teams, over here, I'm going to send you a link with the email as well, along with this video, a link to the team that this is associated with. So here's what this looks like. Under here, under student work, so under general, I've got student work down here, student work sample. So we're going to click on that. And then in my case here, I've got all your classes listed. So you'll be able to go look through your class, double click on your class. And again, this is under files right here. So under this class, and then it's going to say assessment tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy into this area that's just the course name, and I'm going to put the syllabus in there. So I'm just going to just drag and drop it into the syllabus right in this spot, and then there it shows up. And then I'm also going to go to the assessment tool. In this case, they're going to be able to see, so all these 3 items, 1, 2, and 4, and 4 will be copied directly into this area under the assessment tool. And the syllabus stays under the class, but then these 4 elements, 1, 2, and 4, end up here. So that's what I want to see. And I'll send you the link to this so that when we get done here with this thing tomorrow night or Friday, is going to be fine. Let's go ahead and do it Friday night. I'll change the deadline to Friday night. In fact, we can do it over the weekend here. I will get that to them on Monday. Just trying to give myself some days. But if we do this, then I don't have to go through and finagle all this. We can just have it right here in Teams. And then what we'll do is we're going to give ABET a link to the student samples. Well, actually, to this whole file here. So whatever you put in there is what ABET's going to see. So I'll come back and check it, but all of our stuff that has to do with this assignment that I'm giving you guys right now, it goes under student work samples. And again, right here under the course, put the syllabus here, then under the assessment tool, put the assessment tools you've got. And they're going to be able to figure out pretty quickly how this works. Okay, that should take care of it.